Blog Talk Radio.
So you want your charity to succeed. It's no secret that combining online and offline techniques is the key to modern-day fundraising success, and practical advice is what you need. The Nonprofit Coach with Ted Hart is the perfect place to learn from experts around the world who, along with our host, provide advice you can use. Ted Hart is without a doubt one of the foremost nonprofit thought leaders. Also a successful author, his books cover a broad range of topics from major gift fundraising to use of social media and how to succeed online. Ted lectures around the world, but now he's here for you. From the latest in charity news, technology, fundraising, and social networking, Ted and his guests help you maneuver through this economic downturn in the charitable sector to greater levels of efficiency and fundraising success. Remember, this is a live call-in show. Become part of the show by adding your voice. Call now at 347-324-3080. After the show, you can find all our podcasts at tedhart.com. Just click on radio links. Don't forget to dial 347-324-3080. Now, welcome the host of the Nonprofit Coach, Ted Hart.
And welcome here to the Nonprofit Coach. This is Ted Hart, your host for today. And I really appreciate you joining us here as we're looking at the year-end holidays. We've got a big schedule for you today, a big schedule through the remainder of the year. This is Tuesday, December 6th. And for all of you who are familiar with the Nonprofit Coach, you know we always start the show off with Page One News. I was wondering where that Page One News break music was. Listen, here on the Nonprofit Coach, as the announcer said, you can always call in to 347-324-3080 to ask questions of our Page 2 expert. Also, you can join us over in the chat room. I see a couple folks over in the chat room. You can ask questions there. And remember, for the super shy, you can also email me at tedhart@tedhart.com. You can follow along with the radio links. We've posted all of the links for the entire year, including this show, at tedhart.com. Click on radio links. You'll find all of our radio resources there. Over in the radio links today, you'll find an article from the Chronicle of Philanthropy. One of the things that's really interesting about online and mobile technologies is they make it easier for people to champion their favorite causes and connect with each other to share their passions. Typically spontaneous in nature, so-called creative swarms, as they're often called, are collaborative efforts to shine light on important issues and invite people who don't necessarily know what the issue is or how they can get involved with solving problems. Well, this is all explained over in an excellent article from the Chronicle of Philanthropy prepared by Scott Henderson, and today you can read all about when creative swarms come to aid your cause over in the radio links at tedhart.com. Next up here on the Page One News on the Nonprofit Coach is a really terrific and graphically appealing report from Blackbaud, our friends over at Blackbaud. Friends asking friends, we call it people-to-people fundraising. As it turns out in their reports, what they find is that increasingly online giving is more common for new donors. So the numbers and the percentage of those who are finding philanthropy, giving for the first time, is now growing in the new donor ranks. It's also increasingly common for younger, higher-value individuals to give online. That's not entirely surprising, but what we are seeing is that this is growing for online is growing with high-net-worth individuals. So make sure that your online activities are reflecting that. We also know, and this is not news, but always nice to see another report that is validating that online donors give larger gifts. In this particular report, almost twice as much as the average gift for online versus direct mail. So online continues to be extremely valuable, and you'll also read in this report that in the aggregate, online acquired donors have a much higher cumulative value for charities over the long term than traditional mail acquired acquired donors. So as the Postal Service is sharing with us that mail is going to slow down, costs are certainly going up, post is going up, paper costs are going up. Online is the way to go. We've been talking about that since we started the Nonprofit Coach, and the lifetime revenue per original donor for charitable organizations engaged online is now more than double that of a direct mail acquired donor. So make sure your strategy is reflecting these realities. The data is available over in the radio links today at tedhart.com. Click on radio links, read all about the new report coming from Blackbaud. One of the things I always appreciate about being here on the Nonprofit Coach with you is the opportunity to bring to you great articles from across the nonprofit sector, but also the opportunity to chat with terrific authors. Here on the Nonprofit Coach today, it's my particular pleasure to welcome an author from the Wall Street Journal and from Dow Jones. Veronica Dagher is with us today. Welcome to the Nonprofit Coach, Veronica.
Thanks for having me, Ted.
Hey, Veronica, thank you so much for reaching out to me when you were putting together an article. We've provided a copy of the article link in the radio links today. Your article is entitled Ask Nicely, Please, subtitled Philanthropy Experts Offer Their Do's and Don'ts on How Charities Should Solicit Donations. Give us a sense of why tell this story now, and what did you learn in the article?
Well, thanks again for your help with this article, Ted. We got a lot of traction on it. Well, I think there's so many things to learn from this. I got a lot of feedback on this from a lot of people. But there's things to keep in mind when you are soliciting donations, if you're a nonprofit doing so. Whether you're a big nonprofit or a small nonprofit, there's a few sort of tricks of the trade or rules that apply. And one of the points that we sort of broke it down by the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And one of the things that you had said, and a lot of people echoed what you said, was that idea of relationships are the heart and soul of fundraising. So it was sort of interesting because sometimes you think, oh, there's all these new technologies and you could Twitter people or ask them in all these different ways. But at the end of the day, no matter which medium you're using to get to the people, like you said, relationships are the heart and soul of that. So having a strong relationship with the donor, whether it's online or offline, it really matters who's doing the asking, as you mentioned.
Well, and I really appreciated the way that you went about putting together this article, because I do think that people are very interested in supporting charities, but they want to make sure that they're ethical charities, that they're doing work that is according to professional practices, and very importantly, that their money is going to be spent well. And I think relationships really help that. Your article in some ways reminded me of the Secretary of State of South Carolina is going to be my guest here on the Nonprofit Coach. Mark your calendars, everyone. On January 10th, Mark Hammond will be my guest here. And one of the things that he does this time of year is they put out their Angels and Scrooge list in terms of those who do good and those who are not upholding ethical values and doing the best job. You took the approach of do's and don'ts, and I'm wondering, certainly in the do's column, I appreciate you including me in your article, but what were some of the don'ts that were most important that you learned?
So one of the don'ts was, some of this seems like common sense, but it sounds like some charities are still doing this. One of them is insulting the donor. Some folks, get approached by charities and say, the charity approaches them and says, you know what, your dad always funded us, so you should do it too. And some of the when folks I spoke to at Rockefeller Philanthropy said, no, that's not the case. Just because someone's dad doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be interested in the charity too. You don't want to alienate that donor, and by making assumptions about that person, you can really alienate them and have them not want to give to your organization at all. Another thing, which I think is a theme that's really important in this economy that's still strained and really reliant on a lot of nonprofits, really reliant on those individual donors, is this whole idea of, don't go out to donors saying we're desperate. This is the last time we're going to ask you for this emergency request. We're really trying to make our numbers for the year type of thing. If you keep doing these repeated emergency requests year after year, you start to lose credibility with your donors. And after a while, people just tune you out. And not to mention they don't want to give to a sinking ship either. If they, they're going to never see their money go to the work that they're hoping it's going to go to. They're not going to give you money in the future.
Yeah, I was so glad that you brought that point up because that strategy it does get used quite a bit. We're desperate. You have to give before midnight tonight kind of thing. And one of the things that I often point out is that when you do that on a regular basis, donors are pretty savvy. They're really smart, and they want to support important causes, and they certainly want to know if you have issues or trouble. But after a while, they're going to start assessing that and saying, well, maybe there's something about your management. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's something wrong with the way that you do things, and maybe it's time for you to go away.
That's right. Yeah, they're going to get suspicious and start looking around, and they should. I mean, they should always look into the charity they're giving to, as you said anyway. But yeah, you don't want to give the wrong impression by making these crying wolves, so to speak. Another interesting point was charities. Some of them are getting complacent in terms of keeping in touch with their current donor base. I mean, a lot of those donors have been giving for year after year after year, but when charities start to take those donors for granted, just assuming they're going to get the same grant they got for, the past 10 years, that can start to alienate donors as well. So doing things like sending thank you notes or timely gift receipts or visiting donors can really make a difference in people's impression of that charity, and not to mention, what they're going to say about that charity to their friends as well. I mean, that's equally as important. The reputation.
That people's aspect is, do I want to endorse this charity because they do a particularly good job? Speaking of doing a good job, Veronica, I wanted to just say thank you again from the nonprofit sector for your article. One of the things that is always very nice is when reporters like yourself from Dow Jones, from the Wall Street Journal, take the time to tell the story about how philanthropy actually works, because I think that for a lot of Americans, we're very, very blessed to live in a country that is very philanthropic. That doesn't necessarily mean that there is a deep knowledge of what it takes to run a charity, how important it is to have professionals who are going to be good stewards of funds and are good at relationship building. And your article today certainly helps educate a very important sector of the financial community in particular on how philanthropies actually should work.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ted, and thanks again for your help, and thanks for having me today.
Happy holidays. Come back anytime. Veronica, thank you so much for joining us here from the Wall Street Journal. Read Veronica's article over in the radio links today. And back here on Page 1 News, I just want to draw your attention. It is wonderful when someone wins the lottery, but what's particularly nice is when they make a pledge to also give to charity. The three Connecticut money managers, speaking about Wall Street Journal, who shared in the $254 million Powerball jackpot last month, one of the first things that they said is that they pledged that they would be supporting numerous charities, and they have made their first grant of $1 million that's being split among 5 groups in their particular interest, which, of course, is wonderful for all of us to see their support of returning veterans in 5 different charities that are supporting veterans coming back to the United States. So bravo to them. Thank you for taking some of your good fortune and passing that forward to those certainly in need. Back up here on Page 1 News, as I said, it's always nice to have friends here on the Nonprofit Coach, and one of our best friends that we'd love to have here on the Nonprofit Coach on a regular basis is our good friend Susan McDermott, who is here from John Wiley & Sons. Susan always brings really terrific news for us, and I think, Susan, welcome here back to the Nonprofit Coach.
Thanks so much, Ted. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Now, I understand there's a couple things you're going to do for us because we are focusing Page 2 today on an important new website and service to the nonprofit sector called Nonprofit Community. And Jeanenne Ray is our Page 2 expert today. I understand that you know Jeanenne quite well and that you're going to give us a little bit of a preview of what we can expect on Page 2 today.
Yes, absolutely. So Jeanenne Ray is responsible for marketing books, products, and online events for both Jossey-Bass and Wiley nonprofit management programs, as well as professional management, public management, and conflict resolution programs out of Jossey-Bass. She's taken over the reins of the nonprofit program about 18 months ago, and since then has created an amazing online presence for both our authors and books via Twitter, Facebook, and then the brand new nonprofit community site, which she's going to talk to you about today. We've been getting tremendous response, and it's been quite a pleasure to work with her.
Well, I'm thrilled to have her here, and of course, I'm really interested for not only myself but also our guests, our listeners today, to have the opportunity to get to know this important new service that's provided by John Wiley & Sons. But that's not the only reason that you're with us today. We have our big holiday show coming up, and you're going to give us a bit of a preview of what's going to be happening on our holiday show, which is scheduled this year for December 20th at 12 noon Eastern.
Right. Your holiday guest this year is Kay Sprinkle Grace, who is an internationally acclaimed independent consultant, speaker, facilitator, and writer. She is the author of 2 Wiley books, Beyond Fundraising and High Impact Philanthropy, as well as a number of books for Emerson and Church that I'm sure some of your listeners are familiar with. And Kay is just an amazing woman, and I think that everyone who listens to her talk is going to take something away from that conversation.
Well, I really appreciate you giving us a heads up on Kay coming on the show, because not only is she amazing in so many ways in what she does off our radio show, but she also has the distinction of being the highest listened to show here on Nonprofit Coach. That was the holiday show last year, still has that distinction a full year later, and so we're thrilled to not only have John Wiley & Sons involved here on the Nonprofit Coach, but the official AFP Wiley radio show this month in December will be on December 20th, and as you said, that will be with Kay Sprinkle Grace. Thank you for joining us here and bringing such great news here during the holiday season directly from John Wiley & Sons.
No, my pleasure, Ted. I am always happy to help in any way I can.
Great, and I understand you're going to be back with us again next week, so 1 week we'll have another update from John Wiley & Sons.
Absolutely, I'll be here.
All right. Take care. Talk to you then.
Thanks
back here on page 1, just as we're starting to wind down page 1 news today as we're preparing for page 2. Another very important person in the nonprofit sector is Penelope Burke. Penelope is responsible for the Cygnus Donor Research Study. And Penelope, thank you for joining us here again on the Nonprofit Coach.
Hi, Ted. How are you?
It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I was just talking about Kay Sprinkle Grace being the highest rated guest that we've ever had here on the Nonprofit Coach. You're right up there in the top 5 with the full page 2 shows that you've done, but you're here on the Nonprofit Coach today with some very specific news. We have a link over in the radio links today for everybody to follow along, but what do you have to share with us today about the Cygnus Donor Research?
Ted, I'm proud to announce that we're just beginning our 4th annual Cygnus Donor Survey, and thanks so much for inviting me on your show so I can talk about our call for partners. We get more than 20,000 donors every year participating in this study, which is run in both Canada and the United States, and the reason our response is so tremendous, I think it's the biggest study ever on volume of donors participating, and it's made possible by partnering with not-for-profits. So what we do is we ask qualified not-for-profit organizations to send an email that we draft to their donors, asking them to go online and complete an anonymous survey. So Cygnus doesn't get access to any not-for-profits data. We don't know who their donors are. And everything's protected in that way. But we get a huge response. Last year we had 66 partners. We were able to reach out to 1 million donors, had a very high response rate, and had, in the end, had 24,000 donors participating in a superb study. Every year we chart donors' giving intentions for the next year so that fundraisers can get this information early in the year when they really need it for planning purposes. And we also look at changing donor trends. Last year we studied how donors are narrowing their giving choices, supporting fewer and fewer causes every year, and what that means for mass marketing programs that depend on volume of donors for their support. And this year, as well as updating the questions we ask every year, we're going to be investigating some new themes, which is what donors want to know when they go to your website, which I think just about every fundraiser wants the answer to that question. We're going to look at monthly giving and whether donors see that as a useful bridge to major gifts, and whether in memoriam donors can be converted successfully to become loyal donors to an organization that they gave to at the family's request. And if we have time and space in our study, I think we might look at event pledgers as well. Does a donor who supports a friend in a run-a-thon actually have any possibility of becoming a loyal donor? So these
There's
are all
so many different surveys that are out there that take a look at how much is being raised and how it's being raised. But what's really, I think, so important about the Cygnus Donor Survey is that you provide that comparison to previous year's data, practical recommendations for improving fundraising performance. All these things come out of your survey. So I really want to take this opportunity to encourage all of our listeners here of the Nonprofit Coach to follow the link that's available at tedhart.com. Again, you click on tedhart.com, then you click on radio links, and you'll see a link there to our online resources, and you'll find the direct link there to the information on how you can join in this survey. Now, my understanding is that the deadline for charities to become a partner and therefore invite their donors to be part of this survey is January 16th.
Yes, so there's still lots of time, and there are some great benefits. Everyone who does become a partner gets our full survey report free of charge. This year it was 97 pages long with 40 graphs and charts and about 50 recommendations. And they also get invited into a private webinar that I conduct only for the partners as soon as the findings are available. And we talk to the partners about the findings before they're released to the general public or to the media. And this gets a lot of media attention. Number one, we're so grateful for how you cover the Cygnus Donor Survey. And the mainstream media covers it as significantly as does the trade media. So we're very fortunate in that regard.
Well, it is that important, and I think if there's anything that a Nonprofit Coach can do to encourage our listeners today to make sure that they do consider it, just inviting, the way that this works, again, let's be very clear what Penelope just pointed out here. You don't give her your email addresses. She doesn't bother your donors. She provides you with the opportunity to invite your donors to become part of this important survey. And, of course, the survey is only as good as those of us in the nonprofit sector who support this effort to make sure that we've got really statistically significant data to be able to make decisions in the nonprofit sector.
You're right, Ted. Thank you so much for helping us with this, and we look forward to next year's survey.
Absolutely. Thank you again for giving us a preview here on the Nonprofit Coach. I understand that when the survey is out, you'll be making your announcements here on the Nonprofit Coach. Of course, we always appreciate that. You can count on our community to do anything that we can to support the collection of this sort of data. Thank you, Penelope Burke from Cygnus Donor Research, for joining us here on the Nonprofit Coach.
Thanks, Ted.
Back here on the wrap-up for Page One News. It's a bit of a long Page One News today with a lot of year-end announcements here. Last thing we've got over in the radio links for you is how to make great thank you videos. Very interesting. We had the reporter Veronica on from the Wall Street Journal, and part of what she talked about was the value of thank yous, of reaching out and building those kinds of relationships. Well, now videos is a way that charities can do that, but there are certainly do's and don'ts in that area. You can read all about it in the radio links over at tedhart.com, and this comes to us from the Chronicle of Philanthropy. Again, how to make great thank you videos. With that, we're wrapping up Page One News. That means it's now time for Page Two. Jeanenne Ray is Senior Senior Marketing Manager responsible for marketing books, products, and online events for Jossey-Bass and Wiley nonprofit management programs, as well as for the professional management, public management, and conflict resolution programs at Jossey-Bass. NonprofitCommunity.com is what we're talking about here today. We're pleased to announce this to you and to bring to you today our Page 2 expert, Jeanenne Ray. Welcome here to the Nonprofit Coach.
Hi, Ted. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Jeanenne, this is really a big change in terms of online resources that are available to the nonprofit community. Interestingly, it is called NonprofitCommunity.com. So please introduce this to us, and then we want to spend some time going into how it works and how people can get involved. But what's the concept behind Nonprofit Community?
Well, the idea for NonprofitCommunity.com just came from discussions with customers and authors and people in general in the nonprofit world who needed a central place to find the resources they need to do their jobs better. There were lots of sites where you could find fundraising, excellent information on fundraising, excellent information on, how to create social change, information on grant writing, but we couldn't really find a central place where all of the topics that we publish in were covered in one site. So the goal was to create a place where not only we could provide resources for our customers and other people who are in need in the nonprofit world of information and tools, but also to showcase our authors and to give people an opportunity to network with other people who are doing jobs that are, doing work that is similar to theirs.
Now, that seems to be an important part for your website, is this notion of a social connection. How much of an opportunity is there for those who are readers of Wiley books, of resource books, to connect with authors using Nonprofit Community?
Well, we have one of the first things that we've launched is a book club where people can join at no cost. They can purchase the book, a particular book, a featured book, at 40% off, and off the list price, so they get a good deal on the book. But then there's also an opportunity to connect with that author. So we launched this in October. Our first author was Claire Ortiz-Diaz, who is the author of Twitter for Good. She works at Twitter, and she has all kinds of tips on how to create a Twitter campaign to raise awareness for a particular cause. That was a huge success. We had our membership in the book club tripled after that first event, and now our next author coming up is John Brothers, author of Nonprofit Capacity Building, and we now have a nice little, not even small, we have about 50 people in this book club who are exchanging ideas. They have an opportunity to connect with the author, ask questions. We'll do their virtual live events that we're hosting with the author, and then we're posting the transcripts or the video or with the archive of the event on our site after the event. So it builds up, it's another place for people to go back and get information after the fact, but they will have more opportunities to ask questions of authors going forward. In fact, we're in the process of building a new Ask the Author feature where every month we'll have a new author and people are invited to just ask their questions, and then there'll be a monthly event where authors are available to answer those questions and any others that come up during the sessions.
Well, what a great idea, because of course, when a book is written, it's sort of, it is what it is. But this is an opportunity to expand beyond that with the expertise of the authors that you've brought together.
Exactly. And, the readers are so excited to talk to the authors, but the authors are just as excited to talk to the readers and to answer their questions. They're in this business because they have information to share, and, they've shared some ideas in those books, but there are new things that come up every day. So I think that it's really a win-win for everyone involved to have those kinds of opportunities where people can exchange ideas and get the information that they need.
Just a reminder to all of our listeners that you can call in today at 347-324-3080. The website that we're learning all about today is linked over in the radio links at tedhart.com, and it's NonprofitCommunity.com. Jeanenne Ray is here with us. Now, Jeanenne, on your site, there are specific areas of interest ranging from fundraising to boards, finance, law, accounting, social change, nonprofit management. What's the significance of those categories?
Well, those are sort of the broad categories that we publish in. So we do have books that fall outside of those categories in our nonprofit list. But when you look at all of the books that we've published for the nonprofit world over the years, those are sort of the broad categories that they fall into. And those were also the categories that when we did a survey last year and asked our readers, where are you struggling? Where do you need resources and information? Not surprisingly, those areas where we have our most successful books, those are the areas where people are looking for information. So it made sense to align those categories on our site with, the areas that we have the most information on, and also the areas where we have an author base that, have expertise in those areas.
Now, talk to me a bit about your author base. I mean, you have literally hundreds of authors that you interact with at Wiley. What is the involvement of authors directly into NonprofitCommunity.com?
Well, it really varies. We've asked authors to do guest blog posts. We are pulling in blog feeds or blog posts from authors. Established blogs already. We have an event calendar where we're posting author events. And we've really invited all of our authors to contribute in any way that they would like to. This is in addition to our full-time job as book publishers. So it's really been a great learning experience and also, a challenge to find the time and to put the right content up there and to make sure that our readers are engaging with it and looking at the analytics every day and seeing where we can improve. So it's kind of a newborn baby in a lot of ways. We're still watching it grow and, sort of feeding it the way it needs to be fed and making sure that everything is moving along. But there's definitely, we definitely have some growth plans in the future, and we're taking feedback from everybody who visits the site, and we're totally open to suggestions. And authors have been really helpful in that area too.
Well, and so give us a little bit of the history behind this. When was the official launch of NonprofitCommunity.com?
Well, we started talking about it probably a year ago. We had a domain name, and we knew what the categories would be, and we had sort of a sketch of an idea of what this would look like in April of 2011. We built it over the summer and launched it in August. So it was, once we had a real clear idea of what we wanted it to be, it moved very quickly. And, the traffic to the site has been great. We've had a lot of feedback from everyone who's visited the site, both internally at Wiley and with authors and customers. We've shown it at conferences. People have been very excited about it. So, we're really happy with the way it's gone so far. But it's definitely different, business model than what we're used to. So there have been some adjustments that we've had to make along the way. And I think anybody who's looking at community building has to look at their work a little bit differently and try to figure out how it works into their their regular 9-to-5 day and who's going to handle all the details. But those are all the kinds of growing pains we, sort of anticipated, and we're figuring out ways to do it, and it's working out really well so far.
Well, I think it's a very important project, and when we come back, we're going to take just a little bit of a break here. Jeanenne, when we come back, I was wondering, you have on the site a free e-newsletter that folks can sign up for. I want to learn a little bit more about that and what our listeners can expect if they go to NonprofitCommunity.com and go ahead and sign up for that e-newsletter. So we're going to be right back. We have so much to try to accomplish here on the show, as the holidays always seem to be such a busy time. And so for the first time ever here on the Nonprofit Coach, we have the Fundraising and Social Media Holiday Bookstore. All of our books, which are published through John Wiley & Sons, are available via the link at tedhart.com. You can either just click on book, as we've got our books all posted there, or you can go through the radio links where you are right now listening to the Nonprofit Coach, and you'll find that every single one of the books that are available, from internet management for nonprofits to nonprofit internet strategies, major donors, people-to-people fundraising, all the books that are in our bookstore are all available on sale and eligible for free Super Saver shipping over at the radio links today. So this is a great opportunity not only to fill out your own library and prepare for 2012, but also to think about very practical gifts for your staff, where they can not only improve their own skill set, but to have some of the most important books in fundraising and social media. Of course, those all come to us from John Wiley & Sons. You'll find those links at tedhart.com, and we hope that you'll be checking out the holiday bookstore. We're heading right back to Jeanenne Ray and page 2. Jeanenne, I'm very curious over here on your website. You've got a free e-newsletter. How often does that come out? What can people expect, and what kind of resource is that?
The free e-newsletter comes out every 2 weeks, and it includes announcements on new books, tidbits, news, information, some from the NonprofitCommunity.com site, and some, brand new information. We extend special offers through the e-newsletter, and it's another opportunity to connect with what we're doing at Jossey-Bass and Wiley and what our authors are up to.
Well, now that's of particular interest to everybody during a down economy, is how they can save money. Of course, we just shared in our little break that all of the John Wiley Sons books on our website are all available for sale. What are these special offers like that people might be able to get? And as you said, it just adds to the reason for everybody today to sign up for the free newsletter.
Absolutely. Well, we announce special offers on there that aren't available anywhere else. Sometimes we do free shipping. We recently did a 40% off offer. We announced our book club with 40% off and free shipping for a certain amount of time. So you never know what you're going to get. We're offering new things all the time. But if you sign up for the e-newsletter, you'll be the first to know about anything special that comes up.
Well, I think that's a wonderful service, and of course, all of the authors that you bring together, there is no place else on the internet where you can interact with this number of nonprofit authors. Is that correct?
That's right. We have the largest author base. Almost anybody who has authored a book in the nonprofit field has published with Wiley or Jossey-Bass at one time or another, and most have had several books with us. So we have really long-term relationships with our authors. We take very good care of them, and we love working on these books, and we love working with the nonprofit community because they are so eager to engage and to network with others and to have those conversations that really foster the good work that they're doing in the world.
We're just going to offer a little bit of a reminder here for folks. And Jeanenne, when we come back, if we can get a little bit of a look into the future of what comes next at Wiley and what comes next at NonprofitCommunity.com, which is our topic today. And our page 2 expert is Jeanenne Ray.
Remember, our podcasts and archives are always available 24 hours a day at tedhart.com. Click on radio links. If you're listening live today, the phone lines are open. Call in and ask a question by dialing 347-324-3080. Now, back to the Nonprofit Coach with Ted Hart.
Jeanenne, give us a little bit of a look into the future here.
Well, one thing that I wanted to announce that is just being announced today. In fact, the post just went up on NonprofitCommunity.com, and it's the featured story on the homepage, is we have heard some amazing stories from the visitors to Nonprofit Community since we launched, and we really want to share those stories. So we've invited your listeners and anyone in the nonprofit world to send us the stories of the most innovative nonprofit. I mean, everyone's struggling with budgets and staff and all kinds of other issues, and there are some really creative ways, some really creative things that people are doing out there to get their work done and to promote their mission and to do the things that they need to do to make their story a success. So we want to hear those stories, and what we've done is we've invited everyone to tell us their story, 700 words or less. You can email them. There's a link on NonprofitCommunity.com that tells you where to email the story. And we will run some of those stories in January. Our editorial board will pick the top 5 finalists, and then we'll give an opportunity for the community to vote on the top story, the most successful, innovative nonprofit story. And then we are going to award that nonprofit $500 in nonprofit resources from Wiley and Jossey-Bass. We haven't done this before, so I'm sorry?
So let me make sure that I understand that how this works. This is the innovative nonprofit is the contest, if you will, that you're running right now, and all of our listeners can get their stories in for consideration as long as they send it in to you before December 31st. Now, is that December 31st of this year or of next year?
It's December 31st of this year. And okay. I will make sure that that's clear on the website.
Okay.
Email it to nonprofitcommunity@wiley.com, and that address is all over the Nonprofit Community site, but it's also in the post that went up this morning. And every story will be considered. So we invite everyone to send in their stories.
So, and then in January, your editorial board is going to choose the 5 finalists, and then your community, the NonprofitCommunity.com, will then vote on the winner. When will the voting take place? Will that still be in January, or is that February?
It'll be the first week in February. So we'll run the stories for the 5 Mondays in January, and then the first week in February, we will tally up the votes and announce the winner.
Oh, that's great. Well, I hope you'll come back here on the Nonprofit Coach to announce who that winner is. We encourage all of our listeners to go to the radio links today, and you'll find the link to NonprofitCommunity.com. Right there, you'll find the link for their articles is the Innovative Nonprofit. We'll be tweeting on that today as well to make sure that everybody knows that you should get your stories in 700 words or less by December 31st. Jeanenne, just want to share a little bit of what's coming up here on the Nonprofit Coach. Through the end of the year, we're very pleased next week right here on the Nonprofit Coach, Tuesday, December 13th at 12 noon Eastern. Amy Eisenstein will be here as our Page 2 expert. She's written a book, 50 Asks in 50 Weeks, so don't miss that opportunity to really think about your strategy for 2012. We do have a very special Nonprofit Coach once a month. We have the Green Show. This is all about helping nonprofits go green on a nonprofit budget. And our expert on December 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern is Glenn Croston, who is an expert in green budgets. As was mentioned earlier at the top of the show from John Wiley and Sons, is the announcement that Kay Sprinkle Grace will be back here on the Nonprofit Coach for our holiday show. She was our number 1 show for 2010 and all through 2011. She's going to be talking about strategic fundraising, and as you know, Jeanenne, she is quite an expert in the nonprofit sector, and that's December 20th at 12 noon. Just to let all of our fans of the Nonprofit Coach know that there is a holiday hiatus with no show on December 27th or on January 3rd. The Nonprofit Coach will return on January 10th with Mark Hammond, the Secretary of State for South Carolina, talking about charity ethics. And then we've reported all the way out through January 15th, Jeanenne, and we're going to have the official public release of the Atlas of Giving 2011 Annual Giving Data Report and the 2012 forecast for giving in the United States with expert Rob Mitchell. So we have more than a month of shows that are announced here on the Nonprofit Coach. We want to make sure that everybody could mark their calendars for all these important shows. And, of course, Jeanenne, as you know, once a month we have the AFP Wiley radio show. That very special show in January is the K Sprinkle Grace show on December 20th. We do have an email question that just came in, Jeanenne, and the question is to give a little bit more information about the book club.
The book club. So you can go to NonprofitCommunity.com, and on the home page on the right-hand side in the sidebar, you'll see a link there that talks about, it says join the club. If you click through there, you'll get to a form. You'll hit a link, and you'll get to a form where you just simply fill in your information, and we will add you to our list, and you'll receive our next book. And then you'll also receive information about the next book club event.
Well, that's great. So that really is an opportunity to connect with authors in a way that you really can't do elsewhere. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Our next event is with John Brothers and Ann Sherman, the authors of the Nonprofit Community Building, Nonprofit Capacity Building. So it's a great book. The authors are really engaging, and it should be a really nice event. So all the details are on NonprofitCommunity.com.
That's great. Jeanenne, we received a question over in the chat room that related to the direct link to some of our Page One news. Over Page One news, just to remind everybody, it's pretty simple, but I'll just take you through the steps. If you just go to tedhart.com, you'll see in the navigation towards the bottom we have on left-hand navigation everything from radio links to books and our newsletter. You just click on radio links, and then highlighted in yellow is the direct link to our great online radio resources, and you'll find all of the links, not only just the link for the Wall Street Journal article today, but also all of the links for all of the radio shows throughout 2011. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about NonprofitCommunity.com. What are the most important things organizations should take away when they're looking to when they're looking at community building?
Well, I mean, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think one of the big things up front that you need to know is that it's very time-consuming, and you need to make sure that you have those resources lined up, both in terms of time and not only the money issue or the finance issue, but also the time involved in really creating the site and then keeping it going and making sure that you have fresh content all the time. And community building online is very much like community building in person. I mean, you need to be in touch with people. You need to answer people and make sure that if there are questions coming in, that you're, connecting with people and making sure that they keep coming back to you as a resource. And you need to be clear about what your goals are and how you'll measure those, whether it's a goal of, traffic or revenue or whatever it is. You need to be clear about those goals up front so that you have a way of measuring your success. And you can make the case for continuing to, spend all the time and resources on a community site and make that case to, management or whoever it is that you're working with and that you have the information to back up your requests.
Now, the wonderful thing about a website like this, and particularly with the social aspect to it, is it's always changing, always growing. One of the aspects to your site that I was curious about, which is still under construction, but I was wondering if you could give us a little bit of insight. You have a tab called Partners. I'm wondering what will that be all about as you start outfitting that particular section to the site? And
that's something that we're working on now, and what we've done is we've compiled a list of everybody that we would like to exchange promotion with, basically. So we have a place where we can feature all the good work that other people, not only our authors, but other people in the nonprofit world, other organizations are doing, other publications that are featuring nonprofit stories, and we want to give as many resources to our readers as we can. So we're looking to populate that section with links to other resources, and particularly in those areas that we don't necessarily publish in. But we're open to including everybody, and we just want to connect with other people in the nonprofit world and help each other out. I mean, that's what this is all about, is connecting with other people and getting the word out on all the good work that all people in the nonprofit world are doing.
Hey, Jeanenne, we just got an email question from James in Atlanta, and I think this is probably a question that's on a lot of people's minds, so let's get it out there. What if one of our listeners today wants to become a Wiley author?
Well, we actually have, I'm going to check while we're talking about it, on our site, we have a tab that is called Connect or Contact Us, and there is a section on there that has information for how to submit a book proposal, and that'll go straight to one of our editors, either Susan McDermott, who was on earlier, or Allison Hankey. Allison is our other editor, and they work on different parts of our nonprofit list. So as proposals come in, we take them into consideration, and one of them will review the proposal.
I see on the contact, just for James in Atlanta and everyone else, on the contact link at nonprofitcommunity.com is for authors. It's called Resources for Book Authors, and it's guidelines for submitting a proposal. Can you give us a little bit of an insight, as much as you can, in addition to what's on nonprofitcommunity.com? How does that generally work? And does Wiley have a bunch of topics they think somebody ought to write about, or do they wait for an author to come forward with an idea? And how likely is it for someone who hasn't written before to actually become a Wiley author?
Well, that's a great question. It's a question we get all the time. And there's different ways of going about it. So there may be an author who has a really strong consulting business, or they've already worked in the nonprofit field for a long time, and they have, say, a huge Twitter following, or a strong online presence. Maybe they're a first-time author and that they haven't written a book, but they already have people who believe in their ideas and follow them and come to them for advice, and they see the need for a book on a particular topic. That's one kind of author. And then there are authors who have already written books, maybe on another topic, and they're now working in the nonprofit field, so they're an established author, but they're coming to us for the first time. Every once in a while, there's somebody that hasn't written a book before, but they have a really strong platform in one way or another. And those are the kinds of authors that we're always looking for. Our editors are also, they also have ideas on what they would like on the list, and we're getting requests. Maybe we're getting requests from professors for a textbook in a particular area, or there's a particular niche in the nonprofit world that hasn't really been filled yet with books. So they will also go out to authors who they think would be good at writing on a particular topic, or a professor who maybe hasn't written a mainstream textbook yet, but who runs a program at a particular school or something like that. So, there always has to be that platform to start with, but it goes both ways. Authors come to us with ideas, and we go out, and the editors go out and look for authors who have great ideas as well.
That's great. That's great. What kind of, in addition to the book club events, what kind of events over time might visitors of nonprofitcommunity.com see in the calendar?
We would love to have an in-person live event. we are looking at options kind of around the conferences that we're already attending, that Wiley's already attending, where we'd have a booth. So we'd love to meet people in person. I mean, it's nice to have, resources available online and at your fingertips all the time, but it's even better to meet people in person. So that's what we're looking to do this spring, is to have our first live networking event for nonprofit professionals.
Oh, well, that's great. That's so sort of like a meetup kind of opportunity where, sort of a Wiley meetup kind of thing.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Those are great uses of social media. Looking forward to sort of the future of nonprofit community. It looks like you're off to a great start in just such a short period of time. In terms of the kind of interactivity that you're looking for, is it mostly people coming to the book club, the newsletter, and using it as a resource, or is it taking this content out to social media sites itself?
I mean, it's both. I think, we link everything up through our own Facebook accounts, but I can see in our Facebook analytics that a lot of our posts are being shared, and it's good to know that, word is getting out there. We've just started doing a little bit of advertising for the site and for our Facebook account, too, so we can see the numbers growing there, and seeing people engage and use this information is exactly what our goal was. So it's really nice. It's really nice to see that. And, we'd love to have more comments on the posts. I'm looking at analytics every day to see what people are most interested in and what they're searching on. So I really welcome any feedback from your listeners and from anybody who visits the site, so that we can make it a stronger site and make it a place where people really are getting what they need to do their jobs better. That's our mission.
That's great. Right now, obviously, it's very early on, and sites like this change over time. But of the sort of big bucket topics that you've outlined here: fundraising, nonprofit management, boards, finance, law, accounting, social change, which of those areas right now seem to be getting the most traffic?
Definitely fundraising. I mean, we've had some great articles in social change and some really inspirational stories, but people are they're looking for ways to raise money so that they can promote their mission. So we're trying to provide really practical tips and lists and checklists and things for people to do, but also this idea with the innovative nonprofit. We really want to share the stories of the most innovative nonprofits out there, because there are people that are working with skeleton crews and no budgets, and there's a lot of really creative things that people are doing. So that's what we're trying to do with things like this, where we're inviting other people's stories in, because there's lots of stories to be told, and we want to get the word out on those, that people can take advantage of those ideas.
We have a question here from Susan in Detroit, and she's asking specifically about resources for boards of directors. I'm not quite sure how you want to answer that, but I see that you have a tab for that.
We do have a section on the site for boards. We have a really strong relationship with BoardSource. We co-publish some of their biggest books. In fact, one of their books is coming out in a new edition in January. So what we'll do is excerpt, the best tidbits of information for those books and put them up online. And we'll also be interviewing people at BoardSource and the authors of those books so that we can share that information. If there's a specific question, I might be able to direct Susan to the right resource. So I would welcome her email at nonprofitcommunity@wiley.com, and I'll steer her in the right direction.
Okay, let's give that again. So any of our listeners today can connect directly with you, Jeanenne, at nonprofitcommunity@wiley.com?
That's right.
Okay, terrific. It's always interesting to me how fast time goes here on the Nonprofit Coach. As we're looking at the end of the show here, Jeanenne, just give us one more rundown of the giveaway that's going to be taking place in February.
So we've invited people to send in their stories, the most innovative nonprofit. We would like the stories to be no more than 700 words long. And we need to receive them by December 31st. This is the story on the homepage, the featured story on the homepage of NonprofitCommunity.com today, and it will be up for the next couple of days. But people are invited to submit their stories throughout December. In January, we will run the top 5 stories that our editorial board will choose, and visitors will have a chance to vote on those, vote on the most innovative story. And then in February, we'll announce a winner. The winning nonprofit will receive $500 in Wiley and Jossey-Bass books.
That is really terrific. What a wonderful thing for us to do to draw attention to those innovative nonprofits. Jeanenne Ray from John Wiley and Sons, who is today announcing all the details of NonprofitCommunity.com. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Nonprofit Coach today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
You have a wonderful holiday. Don't forget, we'll be right back here on the Nonprofit Coach next week, December 13th at 12 noon Eastern, with Amy Eisenstein that's going to share details on making 50 asks in just 50 weeks. That's our show for today. Everyone have a great rest of your week and weekend, and we'll catch you right next week here on the Nonprofit Coach.
You've been listening to the Nonprofit Coach Radio Show with Ted Hart. Tell all your friends to check out our production schedule and download our iPod and iPad-friendly podcast at tedhart.com. Thanks for listening to the Nonprofit Coach.
When it comes to cleaning your house, who doesn't wish un galán with a trust fund swept in and passed the mop to your evil stepmom like in the telenovelas? Hola, it's Chiquis here, and although life isn't always like in the soap operas, Fabuloso does bring a clean that's always over the top. Get your home dramatically clean anytime you like, without any evil mama drama. Just long-lasting lavender freshness. That's Fabuloso, taking the drama out of any mess.
Fabuloso's 2x concentrated formula provides 2 times more active ingredients versus non-concentrated Fabuloso Original. Use as directed.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.